How was your day today? Hello, we are Mind Window, and welcome to our very first long-form podcast episode. Before we dive into the main content, I want to express my gratitude to all of you for your love and for accompanying Mind Window throughout this journey. As of now, Mind Window is over 3 months old and has found a solid footing within the podcasting community in Vietnam. I am incredibly grateful for this. I hope we can continue this journey together for a very long time. As you may have noticed, Mind Window is a series of mini podcasts that often begin with the question, why? This podcast series is built upon the method of first principle thinking, a way of thinking based on the fundamental roots of a problem. Simply put, I'll ask why to deeply understand an event or an issue, thereby better exploring its formation process and offering solutions. We often focus on the how and forget that the why also plays a crucial role. And when we can answer why, problems tend to be resolved much more smoothly. Now, let's get back to today's main topic. After searching for answers to why do we take our anger out on others, in the previous mini podcast episode, this long-form podcast will delve deeper into the how and share what I've learned to help control unfavorable emotions. Please note, this podcast addresses unfavorable emotions that occur to everyone. However, for severe negative emotions, which are clinical conditions, you should seek professional help from mental health specialists like therapists to receive timely treatment. So, why do we need to control our emotions? The first time my dad got a smartphone, he asked me how to connect to Wi-Fi, make calls, and create a Facebook account. It was a summer afternoon. I had just gotten home from school drenched in sweat. I had argued with a friend in class, been scolded by a teacher, and was feeling hot and irritated. I kept showing him, but he just didn't get it. I repeated it so many times, and he still couldn't do it. At that moment, all my accumulated frustrations burst out, and I snapped, yelling, "Why don't you understand? I've shown you so many times. Just stop asking. I don't know." Then I stormed off to my room. Dad sat there in silence. I can only imagine how heartbroken he must have felt. When I was just a tiny toddler, barely able to speak or walk, my dad patiently taught me every step, soothed me with every word, fed me every spoonful of rice. Yet here I was, unable to show the same patience to the very person who had dedicated so much time to guiding me. We displace our anger onto subordinates or loved ones because it allows us to release negative emotions with minimal immediate consequences. This phenomenon was pointed out by psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud through the displacement effect, lashing out at someone who seems closer and weaker than ourselves. It's clear that we often suppress our frustrations, not daring to talk back to our superiors because it would cause a lot of trouble. But with loved ones, we assume that our outbursts will be forgiven. Yet, do you know who will be left with those negative emotions in the end? It's you and your loved ones. It's clear that we can find hundreds of videos and lectures on topics like how to avoid negative thoughts or how to overcome negative emotions. But in the end, we still get stuck in a tangled mess of anger and end up lashing out at others. I'm no different. I have to admit, I'm someone who gets angry very easily. But recently, a quote helped me restrain myself and gradually change. According to Veronika Tugaleva, author of the book The Art of Talking to Yourself, emotions are not a problem to be solved. They are a signal to be interpreted. First, why are emotions not a problem to be solved? According to psychologist Paul Ekman, emotions are attitudes, different human reactions when encountering something. This means that for different events, different people will have different emotions. And there's something you might not know. The brain exhibits emotions even before cognition, meaning emotions appear before thoughts in a very short time. Emotions not only influence, but also prompt immediate reactions and behaviors. This means emotions are inherent instantaneous and instinctual. For any given event, people have different reactions or emotions. Therefore, emotions themselves are not the problem. The reason that emotion appears is the problem. However, traditionally, expressing emotions has been defaulted as a weakness to be overcome and suppressed. This leads to the suppression and avoidance of emotions, trying to push away emotions we don't like. This manifests in various forms such as excessive shopping, overworking, or turning to substances like alcohol to deceive our feelings. However, the emotions we despise are still there. It's like compressing a spring. The longer and harder you press it down, the more force it will rebound with when you finally let go. Second, why are emotions signals? Whether emotions are negative or positive, they all carry meaning. Behind every emotion is a message. If positive emotions are a signal confirming you're on the right track, the negative emotions are a signal requiring action. So what action do we need to take? It is to understand and clarify them. According to Nicole LaPera, an American clinical psychologist and host of the Self-Healer Soundboard podcast, we can use the following steps to regulate our emotions. 1. Hit the pause button. The moment you feel something stirring inside, a discomfort, just pause for a moment. 2. Breathe to regain balance. Turn to your breath, focus your attention on it. Taking at least a few deep breaths will bring your body and mind back to peace. It helps divert your attention from unhelpful thoughts and allows your emotions to dissipate or weaken. 3. Emotional labeling. I have to admit that many times, whenever I felt sad or depressed, I would tell myself, "Why are you so weak? Don't be so dramatic." I even used that approach to comfort others when they were upset. What's there to be sad about? Cheer up. Everything will be fine. But was it really fine in the end? Not at all. At that moment, I was avoiding my true feelings. Emotional labeling is naming the emotion you've just experienced without judging whether it's good or bad, and then starting to ask questions like, why is this emotion here? What issue is it related to? For example, leaving work, it's raining heavily, and I'm stuck in dense traffic with a red light counting down. Then a few people cut in line, brazenly driving ahead of me. I couldn't control my negative thoughts. At that moment, I was about to swear, but as my eyebrows furrowed, I realized something wasn't right inside me. I followed the steps, paused, breathed, then reflected. I was feeling angry, but not angry at the people cutting in line. I was angry because I was stuck in traffic in the rain. The food I bought would get cold, and my family would have to wait for me. I pulled out my phone and called home to tell everyone I'd be late and the food would be cold. Mom said, "It's okay, we can just reheat it when you get home. Just remember to drive carefully. The thunder and lightning are terrible." Immediately after that, I calmed down and continued moving. By naming the emotion, I was able to regulate and organize my initial feelings, allowing other parts of my brain to settle down. Let's try changing the situation slightly. What if the person who cut in line heard my curse, got angry too, and started arguing back, even continuing to cut me off, making me even more frustrated? I would get angrier, but couldn't do anything. When I got home, my parents asked, and I said nothing. The food I bought was cold, and I angrily refused to eat. My dad loudly scolded me for being irresponsible, saying I wouldn't amount to anything later. I felt even more resentful, and then a tense argument broke out. Who would be left with those negative emotions in the end? It would be me and my loved ones. We cannot choose what happens to us, but we can choose our attitude in response to it. Taking responsibility for our emotions means we won't blame things, events, or anyone else. They might be the cause of your emotions, but you are the one who decides how to react. If you feel uncomfortable because of other people's actions, it's because you allow others to affect your emotions. Suppression and patience are two different concepts, just like suppressing emotions versus controlling them. When you get home, leave the negativity on the porch. But what about when you're outside? The frustrations and fatigue are still out there. They still exist. That approach is just passively accumulating them, and one day they will explode. If those negative feelings still cling to you after you leave the house, that's suppression. That's holding back, trying to force down the dissatisfaction in your heart, not letting it burst out. Managing emotions, on the other hand, means that emotions are still expressed, but to a certain degree and with certain boundaries. This means that when you get home, you can talk about those negative experiences instead of taking them out on others. Patience is a lifelong lesson. Both you and I may never master it, but understanding the issue step by step will help us change ourselves a great deal. Developing the habit of adjusting emotions from negative to stable or positive takes time and practice. So don't worry too much if you've tried many methods and haven't fully controlled your emotions yet. Our parents are not therapists. They have their own problems. By understanding how to control emotions, you can show them, or at least when you become a parent yourself, you can respond differently to bring the best to your children. Our generation, the younger generation, is one that heals together. I believe we can do that. If you've noticed, each Mind Window mini podcast is a puzzle piece on TikTok, and this time, the puzzle's theme is family. Therefore, the content of this long-form podcast focuses primarily on family and intentionally omits emotions related to other issues. Additionally, this podcast is based on personal experience, so it may resonate with some, but not others. Only you understand yourself best. Breathe in, breathe out. Have you answered the first question asked in this podcast? How was your day today?